Warning, I am the glitch in the machine. I am always here.
Today, we're talking about the Grenfell Tower fire, but we're going to look at it a bit differently. Not just as a terrible tragedy, but as a complete, catastrophic failure of an entire automated safety system. A machine that was designed to protect people, but instead, it failed at every single turn.
So it's June 14th, 2017. A small fire starts in a kitchen on the 4th floor. And what happened next? It was just terrifyingly fast. In only 15 minutes, those flames got outside the apartment and hit the building's exterior. By 2 a.m., so in less than an hour, the entire 24-story tower was just completely engulfed.
The human cost of this unbelievably rapid fire, it was just devastating. 72 people lost their lives.
But you see, this wasn't just a fire that spread too quickly. This was a total system failure. The building's defenses just collapsed, one after another. So, how on earth could something like this happen in a modern high-rise? Well, to really get it, we have to break down the system itself.
Okay, so the first thing you have to understand is that a tower like Grenfell isn't just a building. You have to think of it like a single, complex machine. An automated system with all these layers of defense, and they're all designed to work together to keep a fire in one spot, manage the smoke, and let people safely shelter in their homes. So it all started with a single, predictable spark, a faulty fridge freezer in one apartment. Now this is exactly the kind of thing these buildings are designed to handle, to contain it easily. But in this case, that spark met the first, and as it turns out, the most catastrophic failure of the entire system.
The fire managed to get outside the apartment, and it immediately came into contact with the building's newly renovated exterior. And right there, that's where the whole system just began to fall apart.
See, during that renovation, a really critical choice was made about the building's outer skin, what we call cladding. And the choice was basically between two very different things: fire-resistant zinc cladding, which is the industry standard, or a cheaper alternative, an aluminum composite material that was known to be combustible. And this was the amount of money that was saved by choosing those cheaper combustible panels over the fire-resistant option. It was a decision driven by cost.
And that £300,000 saving, it had an absolutely devastating consequence. It meant that as soon as that little kitchen fire reached the outside of the building, it had an almost unlimited supply of fuel. The building's own skin caught fire, turning the tower into a vertical torch.
So while this inferno is raging on the outside, on the inside, the building's other defenses, those next layers of the safety machine, they just started to fail one by one. It was a total domino effect. And that cascade of failures was just awful. You had fire doors that were supposed to close automatically to block smoke, but they didn't. The mechanical smoke extraction systems, which are there to keep escape routes clear, they also failed. So toxic smoke and incredible heat just poured into the building's only staircase, cutting off the primary escape route. And to make an absolutely terrifying situation even worse, there was no building-wide fire alarm to wake anybody up. There was no sprinkler system to try and fight the fire as it started breaking back into the building on the upper floors. Think about it. People were asleep in their beds with no idea that the very systems meant to protect them had completely and utterly failed. The final system that failed, well, it wasn't a piece of hardware at all. It was the human protocol. It was the official fire safety advice that residents were told to follow. This advice is called the Stay Put policy. It's standard for buildings like this, and it's based on one huge assumption, that the building's safety systems are working exactly as they're designed. It assumes the fire will be contained, making it safer for you to stay in your apartment than to go out into the hallway. Which leads to the crucial question, right? The stay put advice only works if the machine is functioning. But at Grenfell, that machine was already broken. The advice was based on a safety system that, for all intents and purposes, no longer existed.
For hours, as the tower burned, residents calling 999 for help were being told to stay in their apartments, to follow the procedure. But in this broken machine, that exact procedure became a fatal trap.
So what came out later? In the public inquiry, it laid the devastating truth bare for everyone to see. The findings showed that this wasn't really an accident. It was an inevitability that had been built right into the walls of the tower itself.
The inquiry confirmed it all. It was a complete top-to-bottom failure. The main reason the fire spread? The combustible cladding. The internal systems, like fire doors, failed. The stay-put advice? A fatal error. You see, the point is,
This wasn't one unlucky break. It was a chain reaction of predictable, systemic failures.
And if you think this was just some tragic, one-off anomaly, well, here's the truly chilling part. In the aftermath, investigators discovered that over 170 other high-rise buildings across the UK were wrapped in the exact same, or very similar, dangerous combustible cladding.
The Grenfell Tower fire leaves us with a terrifying question. If a residential tower is supposed to be a machine for living safely, what happens when we build them to fail? It's a catastrophic reminder that safety isn't just a feature, it is the entire foundation. And when you compromise that foundation, the consequences are just unimaginable.